Hello, my name is Tabitha Davies. I'm a certified professional dog trainer and associate certified dog behavior consultant. And there's a little bit more alphabet soup that I won't get into. But this is a really quick overview of defensive animal handling and why it is beneficial to reducing lethal force incidents and keeping your staff safe. When we look at the industries that are most heavily impacted by pet dogs, which means that there is an increased risk for being bitten, we're dealing with utility services like our electricity, gas, and water, vector control, community housing maintenance for condos and apartments and rentals, plumbing contractors and real estate agents, fire, ambulance, and police, code enforcement, animal control, insurance adjusters and inspectors, as well as delivery drivers and postal workers. While there are more industries that are routinely impacted, these are specific industries that are not animal based that deal with access to pet dogs within the community. When we look at ways to de-escalate aggressive dog interactions to keep people safe and reduce the impact on the entity and the community and the animal, we need to understand dog behavior and body language even on a basic level, and helps keep those in the industries that are most at risk for pet dog interactions that aren't going to necessarily be pleasant all the time safe, which means a reduction of injury towards themselves and towards others. It's not just for the dog, but for the people. Although we do have a focus on the animal, it is the people that are involved that are kept safe by understanding how to properly intervene. So just some statistics, 10,000 dogs estimated per year by the Department of Justice is what are shot by police during routine inline work. The amount of postal workers on average that are bitten each year in the United States is 5,300. These numbers do change depending on whether or not things are reported. If they're reported just as a firearm discharge that occurred, because it's an animal and not necessarily a person, each department is going to have their own rules and regulations for those types of reports. We don't want the PR nightmares that come from the use of lethal force on an animal within the community, which can make that organization's work even more difficult. We also need to understand that aggression is fear-based. Dogs that are displaying aggressive behavior are attempting to make the person go away. They're trying to use aggression not because they want to get into a fight most of the time. There are still those situations. They're doing it because they are afraid, they are uncomfortable, and they're trying to get the person or the other animal to leave. So here's just a quick brief history of non-lethal force in the United States. I do focus on the United States as that's where we are located in. Each department and organization is going to have its own rules. Sometimes when utility providers are met with an aggressive animal, they can actually suspend services with notice if the dog is not removed from the area. They're not able to do meter reads, things like that. It can cause even more problems. When it comes to law enforcement, police, fire, ambulance, any sort of first responders that need to gain access to provide care, their safety is paramount. And we need to make sure that we can effectively handle the situation while rendering aid when necessary in a timely fashion, and with the goal of using less lethal force options. Avoiding lethal force on animals prevents animal aggression. When we meet aggression with aggression, it makes things worse. We don't want to escalate, we want to de-escalate. So preventing this is done by training officers on how to recognize potential aggression in animals and how to appropriately respond. The use of items that are already being carried by police officers, fire department, not necessarily ambulance, the things that your utility workers, code enforcement, city management, etc., can carry on them as well, to prevent any dog bite escalation situations. If you should need to restrain, how to properly do so to keep everybody safe, as well as methods to kind of de-escalate before we get to the point of having to do any sort of restraint or utilize any sort of deterrence. So if you look at all these body language videos, you're going to want to see which ones are saying, hey, I'm super aggressive and agitated. Which ones are saying, hey, I'm chill, you can come up and say hi to me. The answer is that every single dog with the lower right corner is asking for space. They are uncomfortable and they want the person to go away. None of the body language being distributed by those other three dogs was, hey, I'm okay to be approached. Being able to identify that is really important, because if an officer sees a dog doing that, they can at least be prepared and not have something happen out of the blue. That can be something as simple as, hey, you need to get your dog inside. Hey, your dog needs to get leashed, or be prepared to have to use a deterrent. The one in the bottom right-hand corner was being asked to speak on cue. That was actually during a training session. There was relaxed body language. The dog was doing as asked and not socially communicating. If you would like to have more training on this topic to prevent any sort of incidents from occurring or reoccurring, please reach out and let us know.